The wind howled across the Montana plains the night she stepped off the stagecoach, thin, pale, gripping a worn carpetbag as if it were the last piece of herself she had left. Folks waiting at the station didn't pay her much attention. Why would they? She wasn't the kind of bride you'd expect a man to send for, too quiet, too unsure, clothes too simple, eyes too tired. But one man noticed her immediately. Elias Ward. 43. A rancher with more land than laughter in his life. He stood beside his buckboard wagon, coat flapping in the cold wind, staring as if he had been waiting for this exact moment. But he didn't step forward right away. Something in his chest tightened, like an old wound that wasn't sure if it was ready to heal. The coachman set the woman's bag down. She swallowed hard, walked toward Elias, and spoke with a tremble that said she had rehearsed these words 1,000 times. "Sir. I'm worth not much, but I can cook." A hook formed in the story right there, one that would pull any listener closer. A sentence whispered by a woman who believed she had no value except a pot of stew and a loaf of bread. And yet, the man she'd been sent to marry, because nobody else had wanted her, blinked slowly as if he were seeing something rare. "I didn't send for you to be worth something," Elias said quietly. "I sent for you because I'm tired of eating alone." Her breath trembled. She bowed her head to hide the sting of tears. That was the beginning. For viewers watching, this was the moment to lean in, to feel with them, and to join their journey. And maybe, just maybe, hit the like button for stories that remind us that broken beginnings can still grow into something beautiful. The wagon ride to the ranch was a long one. Elias didn't talk much. Her name was Clara, spoke even less. The silence wasn't uncomfortable, exactly. It was just unfamiliar. Like two people who'd been alone too long to remember how to share words easily. The house appeared over the hills, a sturdy wooden ranch home standing against a sweeping backdrop of golden fields. Not fancy, but warm. Safe-looking. Clara swallowed again, quietly. Elias helped her down from the wagon, his hands calloused yet gentle. She flinched, not because of him, but because kindness was something she rarely received. Men back home hadn't been gentle. They'd laughed at her limp, mocked the slight curve in her back, said she was too plain, too slow, too unwanted. That's why she'd taken the mail-order bride route. Not out of hope, but survival. She cooked dinner that first night, beef stew, biscuits, roasted potatoes. Elias sat at the table staring down at the meal with soft disbelief. "No one's cooked for me in 6 years," he said. "Looks real fine." Clara kept her eyes on her lap. "I hope it's enough." "It's more than enough." Days passed. She washed, mended, gathered eggs, cooked, and kept mostly to herself. Elias worked the cattle, chopped wood, and always returned with a nod or a soft smile that said he noticed her effort, even if she didn't notice herself. But neither spoke of the marriage certificate lying unsigned in the drawer. There was no rush. No pressure. Just two lonely people learning to share a house without crowding each other's shadows. Then came the first challenge. A storm rolled across the plains, whipping wind into a frenzy and slamming rain against the windows. The roof leaked in 2 spots. The barn door rattled so hard it nearly tore off its hinges. Elias had to rush outside, battling the storm to protect the livestock. Clara ran to help without thinking, though her limp made her slow and the mud made each step harder. She fought the wind until she reached Elias, grabbing the door to steady it from the inside. "Clara! Get back inside!" Elias shouted. "I'm not leaving you alone," she shouted back. Lightning cracked. Rain soaked them through. They braced the door together until the storm finally eased. Afterward, back inside, Elias grabbed her shoulders gently. "You could have been hurt," he murmured. Clara looked away. "I'm used to being hurt." Elias's eyes softened, really softened, for the first time. "You won't be here," he said. "Not under my roof." Her breath caught. Something warm bloomed in her chest, dangerously close to hope. Another challenge came in the following weeks. The ranch hit a rough patch. A herd fell ill. Supplies ran low. And to make matters worse, a neighbor, an arrogant rancher named Sloan, arrived one morning with a cruel smirk. "Heard you ordered yourself a bride no one else wanted, Ward," Sloan said loudly. "Hope she's better at cookin' than lookin'." Clara froze, humiliation flaring deep inside her. Elias took a slow step forward. "You've said enough." "Just thinkin' you deserve better," Sloan sneered. "But guess beggars can't." Elias punched him. It wasn't a wild punch, just a firm, controlled strike that sent Sloan stumbling back. "On my land," Elias said evenly, "you will talk about her with respect." Sloan rode off cursing. Clara stared at Elias, her voice shaking. You defended me." "You're my responsibility," he said softly. Then he corrected himself, "You're my partner." Her heart squeezed. No one had ever called her that. In the following days, Clara began to open up, just a little. She told him about her past, the cruelty she faced, the way she had come to believe she wasn't enough for anyone. Elias listened, quiet but present. "You're more than enough," he said one night, softly enough to be almost a confession. Clara had no answer. Not yet. But something inside her began to heal. The turning point came late one evening when Elias returned home limping, bleeding from his arm after an accident with a wild steer. Clara panicked. "Sit," she demanded, surprising herself with her own strength. "Let me help." She cleaned his wounds, wrapped his arm, and scolded him softly for being reckless. Elias watched her the entire time, her trembling hands, her determined eyes, the care she poured into every movement. When she finished, she tried to pull away, but Elias caught her hand. "You matter to me," he whispered. Tears overflowed before she could stop them. She covered her face, sobbing into her palms, not from sadness, but from finally feeling seen. Slowly, Elias pulled her into his arms. "You don't have to earn your place here," he murmured. "You already have it." From that night on, things changed. They talked more. Shared stories by lamplight. Laughed at small things. Ate meals together instead of separately. And one morning, as the sun rose over the fields, Clara found Elias at the kitchen table holding the marriage certificate. "I'd like to sign it," he said quietly. "If you want to." Clara stepped closer, fingers trembling. "I do." He signed. Then she signed. And the home didn't feel lonely anymore. Their love didn't explode like fireworks. It grew slowly, gently, through shared work and quiet glances, through storms and wounds and whispered reassurances. It grew in the way she served him stew with a shy smile, and the way he took her hand as they walked to the barn. It grew because two people who'd believed they weren't enough discovered they were exactly what the other needed. And by the time viewers reached the end of this story, they would feel the message wrap around them like a warm blanket, that worth isn't measured by beauty or perfection, but by kindness, resilience, and the courage to keep trying. A message strong enough to make anyone watching want to like the video, subscribe for more stories, and carry a little bit of Clara and Elias's bravery into their own lives. Clara had arrived believing she wasn't worth much. Elias proved she was worth everything. And together, they built a life that even the harshest storms couldn't break.